From the dojo to the octagon. This is Budocast, your source for the latest in martial arts news, culture, and competition. From breaking fight results to evolving techniques, we cover it all. Let's get into it.
Oh man, we've got so much to unpack today.
We really do. I mean, before we jump into the exact details, I want you to just imagine something for a second. Imagine you are 39 years old, right?
Okay.
You're standing right in the center of a chain link cage. You've got these blinding stadium lights beating down on you, and like 20,000 people are just screaming in the dark beyond the fence.
This is an intense environment.
Right, totally. And then you suddenly realize something absolutely terrifying. Your brain, it just sent a signal to your left hand to block a punch, but that signal arrived just a fraction of a second too late.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Your opponent's glove connects. And in that microsecond, you realize the athletic window you've relied on your entire adult life has permanently closed.
That is just, that's a brutal reality check.
It is. And today we are doing a deep dive into that brutal reality of aging in what is ultimately a young man's sport,
Wow.
and how the entire ecosystem of martial arts is managing its own growing pains in 2026.
It's a profound realization for any athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we are seeing it play out at every single level of the industry right now.
Yeah.
We've got a massive stack of sources today that are basically mapping out a sport in total transition.
Exactly. So for you listening, we are looking at 4 major pillars today. First, we have some recent explosive UFC results out of Canada that they really showcase that exact physical reality I just mentioned.
Yeah, that Winnipeg card was wild.
Then we have a monumental one championship announcement over in Japan. We're looking at a legend basically attempting to outsmart time.
Takeru, right.
Yep. After that, we are breaking down Brave CF's relentless and honestly almost corporate expansion into Eastern Europe.
Which is a whole different side of the business.
Totally. And finally, we are examining a crucial development in the business and safety of those grassroots martial arts academies, where every single one of these fighters actually begins.
The local dojos?
Right. So our mission for you today is to unpack how the combat sports landscape is shifting beneath our feet literally right now. We're going to see how legends pass the torch, how new territories get conquered, and how the very foundations of the sport are being secured for the next generation.
Sounds like a packed show. Where are we starting?
Let's start with April 18th, 2026. UFC Fight Night at the Canada Life Center in Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
The main event was Mike Malott, who is this Canadian standout leading the new guard right now, taking on the absolute veteran Gilbert Burns.
Right.
And it ended with Malott stopping Burns by TKO at 2.808 of the third round. But I feel like simply reading that result just does not tell the real story of the fight.
Oh, far from it. Not at all. When we look at the trajectory of an athlete's career, there are these bottleneck moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fights that basically act as gatekeepers to the next echelon of the division. And for Mike Malott, Gilbert Burns was absolutely that gatekeeper.
Yeah, totally.
But what we saw wasn't just a physical win. It wasn't just him overpowering an older guy. It was this methodical, clinical dismantling. The first 2 rounds were just an absolute masterclass in structural striking and distance management.
Right, so let's break that down for the listener. What does structural striking actually mean in this context? Because Malott wasn't just, throwing wild combinations out there.
No, definitely not.
He was utilizing a lot of lateral movement, circling away from Burns' power side, and he established a jab that basically functioned as a physical barrier.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
structural striking is basically about minimizing your own risk while maximizing your positional advantage.
Yeah.
In the past, if a young, hungry fighter was facing a legend, they might just come out rushing, right? Trying to overwhelm the older veteran with pure pace and, just athleticism.
Right, just swarming them.
Yeah. But the problem with doing that against a world-class Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt like Gilbert Burns is that chaos always benefits the grappler.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because if you rush in, you initiate clinches. You create these messy scrambles. You're basically giving the veteran a chance to drag you into deep waters where their technique takes over.
And Malott just refused to provide that chaos.
Exactly. He stayed entirely on the outside. He managed the distance brilliantly, landed the more impactful, damaging blows, and just steadily built this commanding lead on the scorecards before finally dropping Burns in the third.
Okay, I actually want to challenge this narrative a bit, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because, look, it is incredibly easy to anoint the new guy as some kind of tactical genius when he beats the old guard, right?
Fair point.
So is Malott's victory actually a testament to a revolutionary evolution in his striking? Or is it simply the brutal, inevitable reality of an aging legend losing a step in a young man's game? I mean, sometimes the old guard didn't get outsmarted, they just got old.
Well, it's really the intersection of the two. And I think isolating one from the other kind of diminishes what actually happened in the cage.
Okay, how so?
Like, did Gilbert Burns lose a fraction of a second on his reaction time? Yes, obviously. Physiology dictates that at 39 years old, your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the explosive ones responsible for rapid reactive movements,
Yeah.
they just do not fire the way they did at 29.
Right. The physical delay is real.
Exactly. The neurological pathways simply slow down. But we can't just write this off as a physical decline. The key is that Malott actively weaponized that slowness.
Weaponized it. How? By, refusing to engage?
More by creating a highly disciplined environment where Burns' remaining attributes were totally useless.
Oh, wow.
Right. If Malott had brawled, Burns' veteran savvy and his grappling credentials could have easily leveled the playing field. Instead, Malott used feints to draw Burns' reactions.
Testing the waters.
Yeah, and he noted that Burns was a half-second behind. So he then used lateral footwork to ensure he was literally never directly in front of Burns when Burns did decide to finally explode forward.
Which requires an immense fight IQ.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yes, Burns was slower, but Malott's specific tactical approach is what made that slowness fatal to Burns' game plan.
Yeah, and man, the aftermath of that fight was incredibly heavy.
It really was.
Seeing Gilbert Burns at 39 just taking off his gloves right there in the Octagon, it was unplanned, but you could just see the realization wash over him.
You really could.
He retired after a phenomenal 7-year run as a standout in that welterweight division. And, removing the gloves in the center of the cage, it's such a visceral, universally understood symbol in combat sports.
It really is. It signals that the physical toll has finally reached its maximum threshold. I mean, Burns has been a mainstay in the UFC for well over a decade, fighting the absolute terrors of the 107-pound division.
Which is a shark tank.
Oh, the deepest in the sport. And doing that until almost 40. I mean, he relied heavily on a grappling base, which tends to age slightly better than pure explosive striking. But still, time collects its debts eventually.
Time always wins. And that transition from the old guard to the new was sort of the theme of the entire night in Winnipeg.
Yeah, up and down the card.
We saw Charles Jourdain pull off a really gutsy, unanimous decision win over Kyler Phillips at bantamweight. And this was fascinating because Phillips came out looking to wrestle right away.
Yeah, he did.
He put Jourdain on his back super early in the first round.
Well, shifting down to 135 pounds is just a grueling physiological process for Jourdain.
It's a huge weight cut.
Massive. Your body is totally depleted, which usually means your cardio and your grappling endurance are the very first things to suffer. Phillips recognized that immediately and tested Jourdain's defensive grappling.
But Jourdain's response, I think, is really indicative of how modern strikers are evolving.
Oh, 100%.
Because he simply refused to accept the position. Usually, when a striker gets taken down, their instinct is to just hold on, right?
Right. Lock up a closed guard, wait for the referee to stand them up.
Yeah, or just try to survive the round so they don't take any more damage.
But that old school survival tactic, it drains your energy while allowing the top fighter to rest and just rack up control time and score points. Jourdain utilized a completely active scrambling defense.
Right.
He kept his feet on Phillips's hips to manage the distance. He constantly fought for underhooks to create the leverage he needed to stand back up.
Which takes a ton of work.
It does. He was burning energy, yes, but he was forcing Phillips to burn even more energy just trying to hold him down. And as the fight went on, that refusal to be static really started to pay dividends.
Yeah, because Phillips just faded.
Exactly. Phillips's isometric strength began to wane, and Jourdain found his rhythm on the feet, managed to cut Phillips, and just pulled away to sweep the scorecards.
Speaking of surviving early adversity on the ground, the opening main card fight between Jasmine, Jasudavicius, and Karine Silva gave us a terrifying look at submission defense.
Oh, that was so tense.
It really was. Jasudavicius was caught in a very, very tight triangle choke early in the first round. And for you listening, if you're wondering, when a high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner like Silva locks in a triangle, what is actually happening to the body?
Okay, so a triangle choke is a blood choke.
Right.
The attacker's legs are wrapped around the defender's neck and one of their arms. The actual mechanics of the squeeze compress the carotid arteries on both sides of the neck.
So it's not about the airway.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
When blood flow to the brain is restricted, you literally have seconds before unconsciousness sets in. The margin for error is microscopic, your oxygen is restricted, the pressure is immense, and human instinct just screams at you to panic and thrash around.
Which is the worst possible reaction, right?
Oh, absolutely. Thrashing tightens the choke and burns the oxygen in your blood that you desperately need.
So how did Jessie Davicius survive that and actually go on to win a unanimous decision?
She relied on foundational defensive principles under extreme duress, which is so hard to do. First, posture. She fought to keep her head up, aligning her spine to create structural resistance against Silva's legs.
Okay.
Second, incremental space creation. She didn't try to just burst out all at once, which is what panicking looks like.
Right.
She made these micro adjustments to her shoulder positioning to relieve just enough pressure on the artery to maintain consciousness. She basically became entirely defensively minded until the submission attempt finally failed.
And once she realized she could survive Silva's absolute best weapon, the psychological momentum of the fight completely flipped.
Oh, totally.
She took over the narrative of the fight, shutting down all the entries and just grinding out the final 2 rounds with really heavy top pressure.
It was a beautiful turnaround.
We also had a pretty harsh lesson in the pacing of top-tier MMA, with Jai Herbert spoiling Mandel Nala's promotional debut. It was a first-round TKO just 2 minutes and 5 seconds in, and Nalo came out sharp, looking to make a massive statement, and he actually had the veteran Herbert in some real trouble early on.
He did. But the adrenaline dump of a promotional debut is a very, very real physiological factor.
Yeah, talk about that. What is an adrenaline dump?
Well, prospects step up to the big leagues, right? The lights are brighter, the crowd is louder, and their central nervous system just goes into overdrive. Nalo got eager. He smelled blood and pressed forward wildly looking for a quick finish.
Right, he overextended.
Exactly. And Herbert, the cagey veteran, he weathered that initial storm, found his footing, and landed a massive heavy counter shot that just dropped Nalo. It's basically the physics of striking. When you are rushing forward, you are magnifying the force of any strike that hits you coming the other way.
Because you're adding your own forward momentum into their punch.
Precisely. Nalo couldn't recover, and Herbert swarmed him.
We saw another prospect versus veteran matchup with Gage Young getting a split decision over Thiago Moises.
Yeah, that was a grinder.
It really was. And this fight really illustrated the difference between grappling fatigue and striking fatigue. Moises used his veteran savvy early, getting into his preferred grappling entanglements and taking Young's back in the first round. But grappling taxes the body differently, doesn't it?
Oh, radically differently.
Right.
So grappling relies heavily on isometric strength.
Right.
Isometric contractions occur when your muscles are engaged and under tension. But the length of the muscle doesn't change. Like, imagine holding a heavy weight steady, or in this case, squeezing another human being to control their posture.
Just clenching as hard as you can without moving.
Exactly. Isometric holds drained glycogen from your muscles incredibly rapidly and restrict blood flow to the tissue. It creates a deep, heavy exhaustion that is very, very difficult to recover from mid-fight.
So Moises basically burned out his isometric strength in round 1, trying to submit Young.
Precisely. And that's the opposite of throwing punches, which are isotonic movements contracting and releasing.
Yeah.
So Moises faded hard from that first-round effort. And the 25-year-old Young used his youth and his cardiovascular baseline to just surge back in the second and third rounds.
Which is super impressive.
It is. Winning a grueling 3-round war against a grappler like Moises proves Young has the physical and mental stamina for the deep end of the lightweight division.
Yeah, the narrative out of Winnipeg is really one of unscripted transitions. We watched the physiological decline of a veteran in real time with Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
But moving away from the sudden, jarring reality of an unplanned retirement, I want to look at a fighter who is desperately trying to control his own exit.
Okay, where are we heading?
Let's travel from Canada to Tokyo, Japan, April 29th, 2026, the Ariake Arena.
Well, this is a big one.
It's massive. Takeru, natural-born crusher, Segawa headlining One Samurai 1 against Rodtang, the Iron Man, Jitmuangnon.
Such a legendary matchup.
Absolutely, and this is for the one interim flyweight kickboxing world championship, but honestly, the belt is almost secondary here.
Oh, for sure.
This is Takeru's meticulously planned retirement fight. He's 34, and he has completely revamped his entire philosophy on preparation just for this single walk to the ring.
It is a phenomenal case study in self-awareness. I mean, you have to remember, Takeru lost to Rodtang in just 80 seconds at 1/172 in Saitama the year prior.
80 seconds.
Right. For a fighter of Takeru's caliber, a former 3-division K1 champion, suffering an 80-second knockout loss on his home soil.
Yeah.
That is severe psychological trauma.
It has to be.
It challenges everything a fighter believes about their own durability and their identity.
Yeah, and Takeru was remarkably transparent about the adjustments he had to make after that. He actually admitted that previously his entire training philosophy was based on sheer willpower.
The old school way.
Right. Pushing himself past the absolute limit in the gym, breaking his body down, and just trusting his youth to heal him before fight night.
Which works when you're 22.
Exactly. But aging forced his hand. He realized conditioning and load management have to be the priority now. He wants to actually enter the ring in peak shape, rather than leaving his best physical self on the gym mats.
Load management is so critical once an athlete hits their 30s. I mean, in your 20s, your central nervous system recovers incredibly quickly.
You can just bounce back.
Yeah, you can spar hard 5 days a week, absorb the microconcussions, deal with the joint inflammation, and be fine. But in your mid-30s, the body retains a detailed ledger of all that trauma.
It keeps the receipts.
It really does. Cortisol levels stay elevated longer. Joints just don't fully heal. By pushing his body past the breaking point in camp previously, Takeru was actually compromising his chin and his reflexes in the ring.
Wow.
So by shifting to scientific conditioning, measuring his heart rate variability, strictly managing his sparring rounds, focusing heavily on recovery, he is trying to optimize the remaining physiological tools he has left to solve the puzzle of Rodtang.
I look at it this way, and I see Takeru's mindset right now like a retiring CEO.
Oh, I like that.
Right. But Takeru isn't just a CEO stepping down to play golf. He's a founder launching a massive new subsidiary on his final day to ensure the entire company survives long after he's gone.
That's a great way to frame it. Because if we run with that CEO analogy, we really have to look at the market he's leaving behind.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, the context of this fight is the launch of One Samurai, which is One Championship's new monthly series in Japan. Takeru explicitly stated he hopes this event becomes the destination for fighters globally, and he specifically compared it to the golden era of K1.
And for you listening who might be newer to the sport or maybe only follows MMA, just how massive was the K1 kickboxing era in Japan?
Oh, it was an unparalleled cultural phenomenon. I mean, in the late 90s and early 2000s, K1 wasn't hidden behind a paywall or an app.
Right.
It was broadcast on primetime terrestrial television in Japan. We're talking about tens of millions of concurrent viewers. Heavyweights and middleweights were literal household names, fighting in massive stadiums like the Tokyo Dome.
Just huge spectacles.
Exactly. And Takeru grew up idolizing that era. He became a champion in the modern iteration of it, and he carries this profound sense of duty to restore that level of prestige to the sport.
It's the Bushido spirit, right?
Yeah.
He views this final fight as the ultimate proof of his existence as a martial artist. And he's looking at the entire ecosystem.
Yes, he's looking past himself.
He mentioned his stablemate, Yuki Yoza, who he directly inspired to turn professional. He said it would be a tragedy if the martial arts industry in Japan declined after he was gone. He wants the next generation of fighters to prioritize the industry's health, not just their own personal brands.
And it is an incredibly heavy crown he is choosing to wear.
Yeah.
He does not need to do this financially or for his legacy. He could have easily walked away after that 80-second loss. But the Japanese martial arts tradition is deeply rooted in passing down knowledge and ensuring the prosperity of the dojo, or in this case, the national scene.
Right, the bigger picture.
By headlining One Samurai 1, he is leveraging his massive star power to guarantee the inaugural event has maximum viewership. He is basically donating his final spotlight to illuminate the stage for fighters like Yoza.
He is building the infrastructure for the future on his way out the door. And infrastructure is really the defining theme of the sport today, whether it's setting up a monthly regional series to capture a national audience or the operational tools that keep local gyms running. Before we move on to how promotions are physically conquering new geographic territories, we have a few messages from the brands making this ecosystem possible. Before we dive deeper, shout out to our sponsors. First up, Elite Sports, leaders in premium fightwear for BJJ and MMA. Whether you're rolling or striking, they've got gear built to move with you. Check them out at elitesports.com. And if you're a school owner looking to optimize your dojo's performance, you need to check out Lotus by Open Black Belt. It's the ultimate management software for tracking ranks, attendance, and billing. They are currently offering a free trial to our listeners. Streamline your business so you can spend more time on the mats. Visit openblackbelt.com to start your trial today. You can find links for both in the show notes. And if you've got a story, news tip, or question, send it to us at budocast.com.
Those operational tools are the unseen engines of the sport, because the expansion we are seeing right now is just unprecedented, and it requires deep logistical roots.
Which brings us directly to the business of aggressive geographic expansion. We look at individual legacies in Canada and Japan. Now let's look at a corporate entity building a stronghold.
Let's do it.
Brave Combat Federation is returning to the Burgas Arena in Bulgaria on August 1st, 2026. This actually marks their third consecutive year partnering with the Bulgarian fight agency, the BFA.
And this is a highly calculated lesson in market penetration.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brave CF, under President Mohammed Shahid, has adopted a strategy that fundamentally contrasts with the traditional global promotion model.
How so?
Well, most major promotions prioritize high-revenue Western hubs,
Right.
Las Vegas, London, Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
They fly in, set up the cage, extract the pay-per-view revenue, and they leave. But Brave CF is actively building localized routes.
See, I have to push back on the business logic here.
Okay, let's hear it.
From a logistical and revenue standpoint, why Bulgaria? I mean, why not just throw money at those major Western hubs where the broadcast deals, the ticket prices, and corporate sponsorships are astronomically higher? Does a regional audience in Burgas really translate to the kind of global footprint a promotion needs to survive?
It's a fair question. If a promotion relies solely on global pay-per-view buys, no, Burgas doesn't move the needle like Las Vegas. But Brave CF is playing a long-term talent acquisition game.
Okay, talent acquisition.
Yes. Eastern Europe possesses an incredibly deep, culturally ingrained tradition of combat sports, freestyle wrestling, sambo, amateur boxing. The athletic raw materials there are world-class.
Right, the talent pool is insane.
But historically, the infrastructure to take a standout from a local gym in Sofia and turn them into a global superstar was completely lacking. They had to uproot their entire lives and move to the United States just to get noticed.
So Brave CF is essentially moving the mountain to Muhammad. By partnering with the BFA, they aren't just renting an arena, they are integrating directly into the local martial arts economy.
Exactly. Sorry, to put it more accurately, they are monopolizing the regional supply chain.
Wow. Monopolizing it.
Yeah. Running a stadium show in London is extraordinarily expensive from a production standpoint. But running a show in Burgas allows the promotion to be highly cost-effective while delivering a massive tangible boost to the local economy.
Which makes them heroes locally.
Exactly. And by returning consistently every year, they train the local fan base to view Brave CF as their domestic major league.
And they're building that loyalty through very deliberate booking psychology, too.
Yes, the matchmaking is key.
Let's look at the history of these Burgas events. In August 2024, at Brave CF 86, they brought in the Algerian veteran Mohamed Lambiance Sedmalem to fight the hometown hero, Atamas Jambazov.
Right.
And Sedmalem just silenced the arena. He got a TKO in the third round. Then, a year later, in July 2025, at Brave CF 97, they bring Sedmalem back to face another dangerous local, Kaloyan Kulev.
This is what I call the final boss strategy, and it is brilliant marketing.
The final boss. I love that.
Right. You bring in a formidable international talent to test the local hero on their own turf. When the international talent wins violently, as Sid Malem did, he instantly becomes a regional antagonist.
His supervillain.
He's no longer just a fighter on a roster. He is a conquering invader.
It plays on the absolute deepest psychological tribalism of combat sports fans. I mean, fans care about global rankings, sure, but they care far more about turf defense.
Always.
When Sid Malem returns to fight Kolev, the stakes are artificially heightened. The local crowd in Burgas isn't just cheering for a martial arts match. They are cheering for national redemption.
And it creates an electric, highly marketable atmosphere. The broadcast just looks incredible because the crowd is emotionally invested in every single strike.
You can feel it through the screen.
You really can. Furthermore, this localized ecosystem gives emerging fighters like Rusi Minev and Pavel Vladev, who fought on that inaugural card, a clear ladder to climb.
They don't have to leave home.
Right. They get global exposure without the prohibitive cost of international relocation. Mohammed Shahid explicitly stated that Bulgaria has become a key destination because this model just works.
Yeah, the proof is there.
Build a fortress, monopolize the top local talent, create a dedicated fan base that buys tickets annually, and you have a sustainable regional engine powering your global brand.
So we are watching the sport scale up globally in these massive arenas. But the reality is, whether you are a rising prospect in Bulgaria, the new welterweight threat in Canada, or a kickboxing legend trying to save the Japanese industry, every single journey starts in the exact same place. A local gym.
Absolutely.
A dojo with foam mats. And as the sport explodes globally into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, the culture inside those grassroots gyms is facing a severe reckoning of its own.
This is arguably the most vital piece of the entire puzzle. I mean, the foundation dictates the maximum height of the skyscraper, right?
That's a great way to put it.
If the local dojos fail, the talent pipeline dries up entirely, and the stadium shows cease to exist a decade from now.
Which brings us to a major announcement in the business of martial arts. Cris Rodriguez has officially joined the board of directors of Academy Safe, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to making martial arts academies safer for kids, families, and communities.
A huge move.
And when you look at Rodriguez's resume, you really start to understand why her appointment bridges a massive gap in the industry.
Her background is the perfect amalgamation of martial arts authenticity and corporate scaling.
Yeah.
She is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a Taekwondo black belt. She owned and operated Gracie Pack MMA for over a decade. So she understands the daily grind, the smell of the mats, the struggle of collecting monthly dues.
She lived
the traditional mat culture.
But she is also the founder of GrowPro Agency, an INC 5000 digital marketing firm that has actually helped over 2,000 martial arts and fitness studios grow across the United States.
Which is an insane number.
It is. She also consults for the Martial Arts Industry Association. Now, for you listening who might be unfamiliar, what does an INC 5000 digital marketing firm actually do for a local dojo?
Well, it essentially transforms a passion project into a data-driven business.
Okay.
They analyze customer acquisition costs, they track the lifetime value of a student, and they implement strategies to reduce churn rate, which is the percentage of students who quit every month.
Right.
They run targeted lead generation campaigns. Rodriguez basically knows how to run a dojo like a modern software as a service company.
And that is exactly where martial arts finds itself colliding with its own history. We need to talk about what traditional mat culture has meant for the last 40 years.
Oh, man. It was totally different.
Martial arts academies were often run out of cheap strip malls or industrial parks by these incredibly passionate practitioners. These instructors were brilliant fighters, but they were rarely trained educators or business administrators.
No, not at all.
The culture was rugged. It was blood, sweat, and respect.
It was an environment designed to forge tough fighters through attrition. The weak quit. The strong survived.
Very Darwinian.
Exactly. But while that Darwinian approach produces resilient cage fighters, it does not produce a safe, structured, or legally compliant environment for, say, a 7-year-old taking their first class.
Or a 35-year-old accountant looking to get in shape without tearing an ACL.
Precisely.
I look at it this way. If organizations like One Championship and the UFC are the high-performance engines driving the sport's global popularity, initiatives like Academy Safe are the brakes and the steering wheel.
Well, that's good.
You simply cannot safely handle the speed of this global growth without them. If the engine outpaces the steering, you crash.
The liability issue alone is immense. As these gyms transition from 30 students in a garage to highly profitable $500,000-a-year businesses with hundreds of members, the legal and financial risks just multiply.
Oh, absolutely.
Parents today expect the same level of rigorous background checks, standardized safety protocols, and structured pedagogical curriculum from a martial arts academy that they expect from a private school or a corporate gymnastics center.
And Rodriguez is taking her degree in education from the University of South Florida and applying it directly to instructor development, which highlights a massive blind spot in the industry. Pedagogy versus proficiency.
Yes. The cognitive difference between executing a perfect armbar and safely explaining the mechanics of that armbar to a class of 20 distractible children is massive.
It's a totally different skill set.
Exactly. Just because you have a black belt wrapped around your waist does not mean you understand class management, conflict resolution, or how to communicate effectively with a concerned parent.
Right.
Furthermore, unregulated sparring, which was the absolute hallmark of old-school mat culture, is a massive insurance liability today.
So Academy Safe is trying to create an industry-wide baseline. They want to standardize what a safe environment actually looks like. And by bringing Cris Rodriguez onto the board, they are getting a translator.
A perfect word for it.
She can sit down with the old-school, rugged academy owner and explain exactly how these safety protocols, like mandated instructor-to-student ratios or strict background checks, will actually lower their insurance premiums and increase their student retention.
She transitions the conversation from restriction to revenue.
Yes.
Standardized safety is not a burden. It is a selling point. If a mother knows your academy is certified by a national safety board, that builds instant trust.
And trust is everything.
Trust lowers the barrier to entry, it increases signups, and it builds a thriving community business. The sport has entirely outgrown its Wild West phase. The grassroots level cannot be a liability because the local dojo is the top of the funnel for the entire industry.
It is a complete interconnected life cycle. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, who is watching this sport evolve week by week?
That's a lot to take in.
It really is. We've looked at the microscopic physiological realities of aging, watching the bittersweet end of legends like Gilbert Burns as his fast twitch fibers finally slowed down in Winnipeg.
We really saw time catch up.
We've analyzed the heavy, meticulously planned legacy of Takeru Segawa as he uses his final fight to try and resurrect the golden era of Japanese kickboxing.
A true CEO move.
We've broken down the corporate logistics and psychological booking strategies of brave CF building literal strongholds in Eastern Europe, and we've seen the absolute necessity of professional safety standards being implemented at the grassroots level by leaders like Cris Rodriguez.
We are essentially watching a rugged, chaotic pursuit become fully institutionalized in real time. The infrastructure is finally catching up to the violence.
But this raises a provocative question, something for you to really chew on long after we finish talking today.
I love these.
As martial arts completes its transition from underground blood and sweat dojos to a polished, multi-billion-dollar global enterprise with SOS metrics, standardized safety protocols, HR departments, and monthly stadium shows, how does it maintain its original soul?
That is the big question.
Does the Bushido spirit that Takeru is fighting so desperately to preserve actually survive this corporate era, or does it inevitably morph into something entirely different? It's the ultimate tension between the romance of the fight and the reality of the business. That's it for this episode of Budocast. Thanks for joining us as we break down the latest in martial arts. We'll be back soon with more news, stories, and insights. Until then, train hard, stay humble.